I'm back in Akihabara, and I thought I'd see what it's like in 2026. Is it completely overrun by Western tourists, or is it a good place to visit? I'm gonna do a speed run of some of the most popular places, and I'm gonna start right here at the Electric Town exit. And yeah, as soon as you exit the train station, you see the iconic Radio Kaikan building. And that's actually not the one I'm filming right now, even if it also looks very iconic. It's the one next to it instead. I just love that building with all the tunnels. It looks so cool. But no, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Radio Kaikan, which was the epicenter for the Japanese electronics boom in the 70s and the 80s. And that's actually one of the main reasons that Akihabara became known as the Electric Town, even if it transformed into like an otaku place in the 90s. So yeah, here it is, Radio Kaikan. It doesn't really look all that iconic, does it? But yeah, there's a lot of history there. Actually, there isn't. The building was torn down and then rebuilt, but still. Now, my plan was to go to the AmiAmi section of Radio Kaikan to see all the anime figures, but there's a pretty long line there. I don't really know if I want to stand in line at the beginning of the video. It doesn't really make for an interesting start, does it? But yeah, I have a plan. Maybe there's another entrance at the back. So I'm gonna walk around the building and I'm gonna show you a bit more of Akihabara along the way. Don't get too excited by all the cool figures to the right. I know that there's a railgun and a certain magical index, but all of that is a pachinko parlor. There's nothing interesting there. Well, for some people it's interesting, but that's not the kind of geekiness I'm after. Still, I just love looking up at these buildings and looking at all the colorful displays. Why don't we have that in Sweden? Now, as I'm turning around the corner here, I'm starting to think that maybe I'm misremembering things. Maybe there isn't a secret entrance to AmiAmi out here. And yeah, it looks like I was right. Or maybe that is the entrance. I'm actually not sure, so I'm just gonna ignore it and I'm gonna show you something else instead. It's nice to just see more of Akihabara, isn't it? Look at that, nice anime figures, but yeah, maybe it's not exactly the extensive selection that they have up there in the tower. Nothing interesting here, I have to say. It's mostly usual stuff. Nothing I'm gonna spend my hard-earned yen on. Either way, I always love looking at anime figures. Oh, well, look at power. You can't go wrong with a bit of power in your life. One interesting thing is that there weren't really all that many Westerners here. This was a random weekday, so no special day and no special occasion, and it just made me happy to see so many people out and about and not everyone being a Western tourist. That gets pretty old pretty quickly. So yeah, we're gonna walk past Radio Kaikan once more, but then I'm gonna head north instead to the Animate building. It's a couple of minutes away, but yeah, you get to see a bit more of Akihabara along the way. I'm doing my best not to run into people and not to be a roadblock, but yeah, it's a bit chaotic. You can't really decide which way to walk on. You're supposed to walk on the left in Japan, or at least in Tokyo, but no one does. Everyone just walks all over the place, and driving here would be complete insanity. I'm so happy that I'm walking. I would not want to drive here. So let's talk a bit about Akihabara. It used to be an otaku paradise in the 90s and early 2000s, when it was a bit of a hidden treasure. Well, not hidden for the Japanese, but hidden for Western people. But then the Americans learned about this place and it got flooded with tourists, and then people thought, well, it can't get worse at least. That was until all the influencers found it, so yeah, it's been even more overrun ever since then. And the problem with being overrun by tourists is that the prices get extremely inflated compared to what they used to be. You used to be able to find really good deals on electronics and games and otaku gear, but these days, well, you still can compared to what it costs in the West, but it's not as cheap as it used to be. But still, for anime figures, for example, I think it's like a third of the price of buying stuff in Sweden, and that's even after the inflated prices these days. And sure, you can find other areas with even cheaper prices. Nakano Broadway, for example, that's still kind of a hidden gem. Not really hidden, because people are learning about that place as well. But Nakano Broadway is definitely more of an authentic collector's place, and you can find really good deals there. But then again, you can find good deals in Akihabara as well, still. And I have to say that Akihabara is a lot more accessible than Nakano Broadway. Nakano Broadway is for hardcore collectors who want to rifle around in old boxes of stuff and find good deals, while the mega stores of Akihabara presents everything easily accessible, and yeah, it's easy to find what you're looking for at a slightly higher price. Oh, look at this guy. I love him. Say something. I just love him. He works so much better than all of the other girls handing out flyers and whatnot. Everyone should have a robot instead. Or maybe I'm a little bit biased. So now we're walking past a couple of gachapon machines, and these are all over the place. But there are also huge stores with hundreds and hundreds of gachapons. Oh, wait, look at this. What do we have here? We have a lot of Nintendo Switch stuff. I was thinking about buying a Nintendo Switch 2, but it's not really for sale for foreigners. You can buy the Japanese version, but you can't really buy an English version, unfortunately. The only way to buy an English version, or an international version rather, is to buy it from Nintendo's homepage in Japan. But then you need a Japanese phone number, so that's not really gonna work, is it? Anyway, let's keep looking at what we can find in Akihabara. We're walking past a Gigo. I think that's an acronym for something. Gaming something? Yeah, I'm not even gonna guess. Let's walk here instead and try to find our way to Animate. I'm not really sure why I want to go to Animate, but it's one of the flagship stores in Asia overall. There's a big one in Bangkok, for example, and of course several in Tokyo. I think that the biggest one might be in Ikebukuro, but that's of course not the one we're heading to right now. Oh, look at that. Some maid cafes. Yes, and some nice commercials for... I don't know what that is. Oh no, it was a VTuber. Yeah, VTubing is really big in Japan, as opposed to in Sweden. We do have a couple of VTubers, but oh, look at that, look at that. She's big and she's huggable and she's so adorable. I want it. Oh, and maybe I can afford a smaller one instead. That would look nice on my desk, but no, not right now. Oh, and did you see what we just walked past? Super Potato. I'm gonna come back there in just a little bit after we walked further north. First, let's check out Animate, then Super Potato, and then back to AmiAmi, I think. I usually do a lot of editing when I'm filming, but this time I thought I'd show you the raw experience of walking around. And I'm not sure if it's interesting, maybe you're gonna hate it, maybe you're just gonna fast forward everything, but I found it quite interesting still. And to make it a little bit more interesting, I thought I'd add some commentary. Let me know if you think that the commentary just ruins stuff. And, oh, look at that. figures. Let's have a look. What do we have here? Saitama! One punch! Yeah, I'm not gonna try to mimic that song. Okay, let's move on. Too many figures to have a look at. Or actually, there's gonna be a lot more later. So the animate that I'm walking towards is supposed to have a lot of second-hand stuff, and that's not really what I'm after, but I haven't looked at it before. It's one of those places I've read about, but I haven't visited yet. Oh, look at that, card games, or a card store rather. That's not really my type of geekdom, so I'm not really paying a lot of attention to it. Sorry to all card collectors out there, I know that Pokemon is really huge, but, well, nah, not really for me. And I think that we're actually at the store right now. I'm not sure what I expected, and that's probably what I found as well. There's a lot of used stuff, second-hand manga, some Final Fantasy stuff, that's always good. I didn't even know that there was a Final Fantasy manga, but I shouldn't be surprised. There's a manga about everything. And inside there's a lot of stuff. And to prove just how unscripted and unrehearsed this is, I just remember that this wasn't an animate. It's a Mandarake. It's the other big brand you can find in Tokyo. Mandarake has a lot of stores in Nakano Broadway as well as here. But yeah, it wasn't an animate, it's a Mandarake. I was supposed to check out the Mandarake store, but I got a bit distracted, cause I saw a lot of games, and I can't really resist going into a game store. Well, I did resist going into Super Potato, but you know what I mean. Look at all of these consoles and all of these games, and oh, there's so many cool stuff here. Game Boy Advance and the Super Nintendo or Super Famicom, I should say, and even some PCs, but that's not really what I want to look at. Oh, look at that, some Kingdom Hearts. You can never go wrong with Kingdom Hearts, or at least that's what they tell me. Oh, look at that, Super Mario 3. Oh, I love it. I used to play it as a wee kiddo, and I'm still a wee kiddo at heart at least. PC section, boring. Let's move on. Let's angle it downwards so I don't film too many people inside the store. And should I move further north or should I move back now? I think it's time to turn around actually. And as soon as I said that, I saw a bunch of anime figures. I can't resist it. He looks a bit armless, doesn't he? Harmless, armless, you get it? Huh? Funny? Funny? No, not very funny, I'm afraid. But yeah, there's nothing of interest in this crate of anime figures. Let's move back instead. Let's head back past the Mandarake store, not animate. I learned my lesson. It's Mandarake. Mandarake! I'm gonna keep repeating that so I remember. And let's walk past the flyer girls and let's try not to walk into people with canes. That's a pretty bad idea. Now, you might be wondering what I'm doing. I'm looking around a bit, but yeah, I'm just trying to decide where to go. And going back the same way is probably the easiest. Because the next place I want to check out is Super Potato. It's one of those places that used to be really quirky and where you could find really good deals. But these days you can find decent deals and it's still really quirky, so I still think it's really fun to have a look at. And speaking of things that's fun to have a look at, looking at all of the exhibits in the windows, it's quite amazing in Akihabara. And it's also amazing how many cars can fit in such a tight spot among all the people. I'm doing my best to not get run over. Japan is usually a very orderly place and you have to walk exactly in line and exactly at the right place, but people don't really do that in Akihabara or in many of the other big touristy crowded places, and definitely not at any of the big stations. Shinjuku, no one cares about following left and right and lanes and whatnot. Oh wow, did you see that American flag regalia that the guy was wearing? Amazing stuff. You can really see a lot more varied fashion in Tokyo than in, well, Stockholm, for example. In Stockholm, everyone dresses in black and grey and maybe a bit maroon or blue if they're feeling rebellious. But here, there's a lot more individuality, I think at least. But yeah, now we're back at Super Potato, so let's walk up or take the elevator because we're gonna start at the top and then we're gonna work our way down. I'm gonna try to make a nice little cut in the elevator here because you don't really wanna wait for all of that. And here we have it, floor 5 of Super Potato, which is the arcade section, at least the first of the arcade sections. And what we have here, we have a lot of old games, a lot of shooters, a lot of fighters, yeah, mostly that. And we have a solid Snake. That's not very solid because he's missing pieces. We have a big Game Boy, and that defeats the purpose of a Game Boy, doesn't it? It's supposed to be small and portable. That's not a portable Game Boy. Anyway, I'm not gonna complain. I'm gonna look at the games. Oh, Street Fighter. We like Street Fighter, don't we? I don't really know what all of the other games are, but yeah, there's a few of them at least. It's not huge, but it's a good selection. And there's also some merchandise. And I think I see something here. A big Mario! It's me, Mario! I apologize to all the Italians watching this because I can't do an Italian accent. I can't do any accents at all, to be honest, except for a Swedish one. I can make a very good Swedish accent because I am a Swede. Okay, let's move down to floor 4. Now this is the floor where the good stuff starts to happen, and I'm talking about retro games. Lots and lots of retro games. Oh, look at that. I don't know what it is. A retro freak. I'm a retro freak. Maybe it's for me. No, it seems to be a connector. You know, you can plug different cables into modern TVs. I would assume that it's something like that. And there's games. I think I saw some Sega games, some Alex Kidd, and some Game & Watch. Oh, these are old. Old and cool, but very old mostly. And we also have some knickknacks of various kinds. Some Dig Dug and what's that? Xevious. Not bad, not bad. Well, I'm not gonna buy any of that, but I just wanted to show it off so you can see a little bit of what you can find here. Let's continue to have a look at all the merchandise. It's, yeah, there's a lot of stuff. I can't really comment on everything because there's too much of everything. Oh, look at that, an old Atari, or rather an Retron 77. That looks ancient, even in my eyes. I can't really give any good commentary to everything here because there's so much. Instead, I'm just gonna walk around and show you a bit, and maybe you can spot some hidden gems that I'm missing. I guess I got a bit fascinated by all the books and magazines, but those aren't really hidden gems, even though I love old stuff like that. I'm just having a sneak look at that game, and oh, what we have here, manuals. Oh, Bahamut Lagoon, that's for the Super Famicom, I think. Yeah, if you need manuals and games, you can find them at Super Potato. The prices are more expensive than they used to be, but it's still worth it for a Westerner, I would say. Ooh, Street Fighter. But yeah, I think I'm ready to move on, but I can't really move past him, so I'm gonna have to try to find a way out of this labyrinth. But I keep getting distracted by stuff. What's this, a gashapon? Oh, I want it. I want everything here, to be honest, but no, I'm not here to shop. I'm just filming right now. Ooh, Neo Geos. Good stuff. And I think there's an old Jaguar. No, maybe it's a 3DO. I don't really know what everything is because I'm not looking that closely at everything. Instead, let's try to squeeze past. Whoa, I made myself really thin there for once. And look at this, not for sale. I understand why. Oh, those are treasures. It would have been ironic if there was a game by Treasure there when I said that, but anyway, let's move down. I'm just admiring the wall a bit before I move on. Oh, look at that, Shadowgate. I love Shadowgate, and I love stairs as well. Stairs are fun, at least when they're plastered with nice images like this. And if my basic arithmetic is correct, I think we are at floor 3, which is even more stuff. I think that this is the floor with the most games, and yeah, there's certainly a lot to find here. Look at all those Famicom games and everything. Oh, Rob. Hello, Mr. Rob. How are you doing? Oh, and N64s and a blocked path, so I can't get past. Let's see if I can find a way out anyway, because I think we've seen most of everything there is to see at Super Potato. Well, not everything by far, of course, because there's a lot to see, but I think that we've seen enough, because there's more to see of Akihabara outside of this store. There's actually one thing that I was chasing during this visit to Akihabara, and that was a power bank. But I didn't just want a simple 10k power bank, I wanted a 20k with a really cool exterior. I wanted a Pokemon power bank or something. And I suspected that I might find one at Akiba 00. It's basically an electronics outlet, and I wanted to find some good deals. And here it is, just outside of Super Potato. Lots of electronics, lots of cheap prices, but can I find a power bank? Well, apparently I can't, because I only find a lot of cables and camera objectives and lenses and whatnot, but there certainly has to be a power bank at this place. But apparently not where I'm looking. I keep looking at the wrong place for the wrong things. Oh, headphones. That's actually a really good price, but I don't need any. I have 2 good pairs and yeah, that's plenty. I don't need one, even if it's cheap. I shouldn't just buy stuff because it's cheap. I wish I could think like that when it comes to anime figures. Oh, but look at this, power banks. I think we finally found the right spot. But all I see is a bunch of ugly bricks. Some have 20k capacity, but yeah, most have 10. And every single one is really ugly. This is not what I wanted. I keep looking for something that sticks out, something with a nice design, but nope. This is just everything that I don't want. It's boring, it's cheap, but it's boring. I want exclusive stuff, Japan exclusive power banks that I can't find in Sweden, but that's not what I'm finding here. Oh, but look at this. This is more what I'm looking for. Cool characters and cool gadgets and yeah, I don't need that either, but it looked awesome. It looked amazing. Give me a power bank like that and I'd buy it immediately. Yeah, I don't really have much to say about all of this. It's electronics, like you see in any store at home as well. It's cheaper here, but it's not exciting. Akihabara used to be the electronic town, but I think those days are gone because electronics is a commodity. It can be found everywhere at decent prices. Anyway, let's move back to Radio Kaikan because I think that it's time for us to have a look at anime figures. That's really my prime obsession in Japan after all, so I can't really make a video about Akihabara without looking at tons of figures. Oh, and more maid cafes. By the way, if you want to go to one, I think you should choose one of the bigger cafes like Maid Dreaming and skip some of the smaller ones. We went to a place called Magical Lollipop and ooh, let me tell you, they were really nice and they tried to be friendly, but the Japanese was lacking and the performances were lacking and the food was quite horrible. Yeah, I know that you don't go to a maid cafe for food, you go for the experience, but still, it was barely edible. So yeah, I can't really recommend Magical Lollipop, unfortunately. Anyway, we're back at Radio Kaikan. Let's see how long the line is. Should we brave this immense line to get to see some anime figures? Yes, we should. If we can get to the line, that's the first task. I don't think that you want to watch the entire clip of me waiting in line and traveling upstairs, so yeah, I'm fast forwarding. But yeah, this is the authentic experience of traveling up to AmiAmi. And there's a lot of anime figures up here. In fact, there's too many to show because there's so many of them, but I'm gonna try to have a look at a few anyway. Is that an Umamusume? I think so, and it's gorgeous. Look at those figures. I want them. I want every single one of them. And so do all of the others. That's why they're standing in line all over the place to have a look at these figures. And there's certainly a lot of people here. I can barely move around, but yeah, I'm doing my best to film a little bit at least. And yeah, I'm trying to avoid filming anything that's for 18 plus, because that would not be a good idea for the video. All of the figures are pretty scantily clad either way, but they should be PG or PG-13, something like that, I hope. Oh, and look at that! There's an Evelyn from Zenless Zone Zero! I'm trying to see if there's any more Zenless Zone Zero characters, but I don't think so, unfortunately. Aw, that's so cool! And what we have here, lots of different franchises, but no Zenless Zone Zero. There was a Chen from Arknight's Enfield though, and I just love Chen. The design is exquisite. Oh, she's adorable. She's a 4-star, or yeah, it's called 5-star in Enfield, but it's the same thing. I still love her in a platonic way. I swear that I don't have like a Chen body pillow or something like that. I promise. There's actually a bit more than just figures to look at, and there's also various merchandise for franchises of all kinds. And I'm trying to have a look at, well, some MiHoYo stuff. Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, and of course Zenless Zone Zero. You can never have too many keychains or standees or plushies, I guess. Even though that looks pretty ugly, I wouldn't want that one. I'm not really a pin person, otherwise I would have bought a couple of pins here. Oh, here we have it, the Zenless corner. And it's a very brief corner. Who's that? Lupa. She's not from Zenless, is she? Is she? No, she can't be. I'm getting slightly confused by all of the different franchises and everything there is to see at this store. But you really shouldn't complain because you don't see stuff like this in Sweden, except at possibly Nadcon. That's the only place you can see a fraction of everything you can see here. But yeah, we're back to anime figures, or paints I guess. But yeah, here's figures and Final Fantasy and yeah, everything. There really are too many figures to comment on and to look at because this place is so huge and there are floors and floors of figures of all kinds. And this is just one of the stores in Akihabara that has a plethora of figures and merchandise of all kinds. I said that I was gonna do a speedrun of Akihabara, but as you can tell, it's not very much a speedrun because it's half an hour long. It's insane how much there is to look at. And I don't think I'm gonna drag it out anymore. Let's find our way out. And hey, do you know what? This is actually the sneaky entrance I was looking for in the beginning of the video. So yeah, I could probably have entered there as well. I'm not sure if I could, but probably. Now Akihabara continues in this direction. I think it's to the east, and you can also move to the south and to the north and to the west. It's a pretty big area. It's not super huge, but yeah, it's big. And it's filled with things for sale, like these anime souvenir bags. I hate those. I like gacha games, but I hate gacha bags. Oh, and more maid cafes, of course, because that's what tourists are looking for in Akihabara. But there's also a lot more than just the touristy places. You can find small shops, you can find quirky restaurants, and overall, it really is a fun experience to walk around here. And sure, you can't find all the good deals that you used to be able to, but it's still well worth a visit. I like Akihabara. I went here twice on this trip and I'm gonna come back again. Oh, look at those t-shirts. I don't know exactly what a booty is supposed to do, but yeah, it looks pretty quirky and funny, and you can still find fun stuff like this, even if it's also a bit touristy. Or very touristy, I should say. But that's also a bit of the charm because it's so accessible. You don't have to shop around and search in the same way as you do in Nakano Broadway because it's served up to you here. Now, I mentioned Ikebukuro at one point, and that's another nerdy area of Tokyo, but that one is more for locals. It doesn't really cater to tourists in the same way as Akihabara, and that's a good thing for most people, but there's a certain charm to this touristy mess that is Akihabara as well. It's full of sound and fury, signifying, well, nothing. But it's still fun. I don't know if that makes sense or not, or maybe I'm just rambling and being incoherent. Either way, I think it's time to wrap up this video, and as you can see, I'm heading back to the station. So yeah, let's wave goodbye to Akihabara, and you like and subscribe, but most importantly, remember to stay geeky out there.